What's going on, everybody? It is that time again. The Sooners Illustrated Podcast, episode 230 on this Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. Josh Callaway, Collin Kennedy with you on a Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. We figured, hey, the holiday tomorrow. Let's hit it a day early. We got plenty to talk about, a lot of recruiting stuff to get into. Signing day is 1 week from today, if you can believe it. Yet Oklahoma is still really active in 2026. We have a lot of updates to get into there, both in terms of a commitment, a decommitment, and a lot more potential movement to come before next week. We're going to get into all of it on the show today. We'll also wrap up a little bit of rankings talk on the back end as well, but a very busy recruiting Wednesday edition of the Sooners Illustrated Podcast here today to set the table for you going into the holiday and then also the final weekend of the regular season. Before we get started, want to tell you our Black Friday sale is off and running. This is the best deal you get all year, 75% off an annual VIP subscription to Sooners Illustrated and the entire 24/7 Sports Network. Right now, if you sub, all you got to do is sign up. The sale is automatic. You don't have to put a promo code in or anything. So if you're not subscribed to Sooners Illustrated or 24/7 Sports, now is the time. 75% off. Obviously, a massive discount for our Black Friday sale. So take advantage of it. If you have any more questions, there's a link to it on the homepage or on the website, oklahoma.247sports.com. But pretty self-explanatory, a big sale there. So take advantage of it while you can. Black Friday sale, go, go, go. Perfect time for a signing day next week, playoff push, playoff potentially coming up. Perfect time.
It all aligns perfectly. And on top of that, like you mentioned, you're keeping track of all the recruiting intel that's pouring in pre-signing day with all this 2026 activity that, let me tell you something, the recruiting intel this week's going to be hot and heavy. And then you've got all the playoff push and everything that comes with that. But at the same time, Josh, you mentioned it too, you get access to the entire network. So I don't know if you wanted to hop on the Penn State board and see maybe what's going on over there. Or like, hey, maybe what are Florida fans saying or thinking with all that, or what's going down at LSU. You would have all that access and more. And what is the price? $2.50 a month. That catch your attention? Less than $3? $2.50. Come on, man. Come hang out with us. We're okay. We're decent. But the other subscribers are way cooler than us. They make it a great place. And for $2.50 a month, I mean, this is the sale of the year. Make the most of it.
Absolutely. Perfect time. It's a great time of year, holiday season, tons of sports going on. Obviously, we're into the getting into the meat of the hoops season 2. Like it's a lot going on. So jump in with us, be along with us for the ride every single day over at Sooners Illustrated. All right, let's get into it. We do have a lot to talk about. It's crazy. Signing day is a week from today, next Wednesday, December the 3rd. And Oklahoma, it is still just so busy in 2026. Since at least we're not that old here on Sooners Illustrated, it's only our 3rd year, but definitely the most active, like the current cycle leading up to signing day that we've had. The big news of the week. Let's cover some of the news. We'll get into some of the updates. So start with the big flip of the week. Welcome back, old friend Jonathan Hatton. How about this? So the 4-star running back who we talked a lot about way back when. He was the first guy in 26, wasn't he, originally?
Mm-hmm.
Commits to Oklahoma a long time ago. He flipped to Texas A&M, and now he's back with now today, a week before signing day. Collin, how did this happen? And obviously, we talked about the player before, but I'll say a really talented player down at Cibolo, Texas. And I mean, you lose him, and then you get him back from Texas A&M. Wow, what a crazy recruitment for DeMarco Murray, and what a win for Oklahoma to get this guy back.
The important backdrop here is that Jonathan Hatton Jr. several years ago, I believe in 2023 maybe, looked at his family on a visit at OU and said, I think this is it for me. I want to commit. And even I remember his father, Jonathan Hatton Sr., telling me they were all surprised. They had no idea that was even coming themselves. And Hatton has always kind of had that home feeling in Norman, and that's kind of where you start. He was the first 2026 to pledge to Oklahoma. He was kind of part of that initial surge, guys like him and O'Neal and so on.
That's right.
But as time went on, and obviously a lot of uncertainty surrounded the program, not just the obvious, but if you'll remember as well, DeMarco Murray was being coveted time and again for other positions in the coaching carousel.
Sure.
And
That's right.
everything that was happening several years ago kind of added up at a time where Jonathan Hatton Jr. emerged as quite literally one of the best running backs in all of high school football. And so this was someone who, if you'll remember, kind of in the back end of maybe a season ago or so, was very open and honest as anybody about being like, hey, I got to explore options here. I don't know what the future holds in Norman. I have to make sure I'm covering my bases. And that kind of helped lead him towards Texas A&M. We know Texas A&M, they're kind of a wagon right now. Got a lot of respect for what Mike Elko and that new staff have been able to come in and do at a place like A&M, a place that, that place kind of deserves that type of staff. You know what I mean? And you see the fruits of the labor, right? I mean, A&M has ascended both on the field and on the recruiting trail, and Hatton was a primary target for them. And so he ends up committing. That seems like, it's it. But Oklahoma never really wavered. They just kept in the shadows. They kept in contact, and that steady flow of communication. It didn't always seem like it was going to amount to something, but it was there. And then over the last few months, conversations really start to heat up. You see what Oklahoma's doing on a Saturday basis.
Sure.
And again, it goes back to the fact that Hatton seeing all this from afar, knowing the people in Norman, but then watching everything play out on the field from a pitch perspective, he knew in his heart of hearts that Oklahoma was a place that he has always kind of wanted to be. And on top of that, there is opportunity at running back with the Sooners. So all of a sudden, that steady communication turned into serious conversations. And here we sit today. Oklahoma gets the guy that first pledged to them within this cycle. And they're getting one hell of a running back too. It's a heck of a get.
No, you read my mind. I mean, you talk about, would it shock you if Jonathan Hatton doesn't help this team next year? I mean, it wouldn't.
Not at all.
Me. I mean, you talk about where that room is right now. I mean, you're hoping that, obviously next year you have Xavier Robinson back and Torrey Blaylock, who made a big impact as a freshman this year, but that's kind of it. Like, you don't know what the future holds for Taylor Tatum or certainly Javonte Barnes, obviously Jay Knott. That's been well documented. That's the room, so I'm with you totally there. He joins the Zephan Walker with the other running back in the class in 2026. And it's funny because, we talked about the way that they're starting in 2027, especially offensively in 2027. Man, look at 2026. Jake Krull is your highest ranked guy on the edge. The next 5 guys are all offense, and they're all different positions. Bentley, Hatton, Deacon Schmidt on the offensive line, Jasir Rogers, then Tyler Ruxer. Not a bad little offensive nucleus for Ben Arbuckle in his first class here. So, a lot to be excited about here. It's a really, it's a player we talked about a lot. It is really good, and it was a bummer to lose him, and you find a way to swing him back. What a kind of a crazy meandering road. And this happens sometimes. We've had lots of guys like this that were other places that came back or left, came back. Think like Cody McKenzie or even to, like a Peyton Bowen type of situation. Like, sometimes it's not a straight line. Sometimes it's a little, but it worked out for those guys. And certainly you are hoping it works out good for Hatton down the road.
And they may not be done with that dynamic in mind either, especially on the offensive side of 2026. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the several layers to that, but kind of putting a bow on this for those that may not be overly familiar. Josh and some of the folks out here who have kept up with me for a long time know that this is kind of like one of my guys in 2026. I will never forget watching him at one of Oklahoma's summer camps when he was a young prospect, just going through positional drills, going through bag work, and walking up to him when he was on a water break and saying, "Hey man, I'm Collin. What is your name?" Because he looked that good. Who
you are. Yeah.
And not even an hour later, he gets the Oklahoma offer. And from there, he has been on OU's radar quite literally from the start. This is a top 100 player in 2026. Top 5 running back in America. In the composite, he's top 4. Genuinely elite prospect. And the other thing you love about him too, 6'1.5", 6'1", already above 200 something pounds. At one point, he told me his play weight was at 215, 220 pounds. He's actually slimmed down a little bit, and he's had the best year of his career at Cibolo Steel to this point. True north-south guy. He's got track speed, but at the same time, just a downhill physical runner of the football. And when we talked about him basically years ago, I talked about his just innate ability to not waste space or movement, but at the same time, shed tacklers, gain yardage, and build that head of momentum that makes a running back of his size and speed hard to stop. This guy is just, it's not just the fact that he's like someone they've loved for a long time, genuinely an elite prospect and one of the truly best at running back in 2026.
So really good news, obviously there with Hatton. Exciting. Again, he goes with the Zeph Walker. Nice little duo there in 2026 for DeMarco Murray and this OU offense, which will be looking for playmakers, obviously going into next year. They did have a decommit this week as well on the other side. I want to make sure we touch on that real quick with Jakore Smith, the Arkansas linebacker who we've talked about, a few times, a player that we liked. Collin, what's the thoughts here with Jakore and kind of what happened? And, obviously the reality now for Oklahoma is they've one linebacker in 2026, and that could definitely change. We're going to get into that in a minute. But you only had two guys with Jandro being the other. Is it Bo is the linebacker or is Nico the linebacker? Bo. I try to keep my Jandro straight. So, you lose Jakore Smith here. Where do you want to go with it? What kind of happened here? What's your kind of read of the situation as for why Jakore Smith jumped out of Oklahoma's 2026 class this week?
Yeah, I think, look, there is a world where Jakore Smith could have stuck in OU's class, but at the end of it all, I think it inevitably made a lot of sense for both parties to go separate directions here. Jakore is going to be just fine. He's already fielding offers and interests from a number of Power 4 programs and some of the elite of the G5. And the simple nature of it too is, and we're going to talk a lot more about this, Oklahoma is filling up in 2026. And it's obviously, you talk about one linebacker now, again, more on that. But another thing we're getting ready to discuss is the numerous 2026 visitors that are going to be in town for the LSU game coming up this weekend. And Oklahoma has a chance to add several bodies, not just maybe at linebacker or maybe at safety or maybe at wide receiver. Yeah. But on top of that, there are guys on the offensive and defensive lines too who are going to be circling Norman as well. And so I think Oklahoma's trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. I think Jakore Smith is a talented player who sees a lot of other options that make a lot of sense. And conversations kind of led to a sensible decision here, in my opinion.
Yeah, obviously you can kind of, I'm sure most people kind of can see what Collin's alluding to. Number of guys, there's only resources, so you kind of see the way it kind of trickles out here. And, like you said, Jacore's gonna be fine, good player, and he'll wind up somewhere. And not a player you wanted to lose, but it's how it goes sometimes, I guess, is for lack of a better way to put it. So they lose Jakore Smith, but you gain Jonathan Hatton this week. And like we said, they're just not done in 26, not even close to it. This cycle, which is so big already. How many guys? I got 23 guys, I think now, 22, 23. I think 22 because they lost Smith but added Hatton. And they're looking for more. I wanted to first get an update right on that same position at linebacker with Dane Bathurst. This is a guy we talked about last week. He's an Indiana prospect from Carmel, Indiana, top 50 linebacker in the class for us at 24/7 Sports. He was in town for the game against Missouri. I saw him. He was there down the sidelines. He was talking to Brian Bosworth, which is a good guy to talk to get
there you go.
Get a little why I should go to OU type of a thing. What's the latest here with Bathurst? Obviously, you as a guy you were having visit anyway, but then with Smith hopping out, I would think that this is, you would like another linebacker now. How do things go on the visit, and where do you think things kind of stand with this guy, with Dane Bathurst?
I think Oklahoma's the leader here, just flat out. I think OU's at the top, and the kind of final note that I'm looking for is what happens coming up this weekend. So as of about an hour ago, our guys at Husker 24/7, our Nebraska site in the network, they're still expecting Dane Bathurst to show up at Nebraska this weekend for the signature Nebraska-Iowa rivalry game.
Yeah.
And that is expected to be an official visit for Dane. Depending on how that trip goes, I think that this guy could easily end up at maybe a Nebraska, maybe a Vanderbilt, maybe a Purdue. But I think OU is at the top for this guy. I feel like everyone knows that Nebraska has the task at hand of potentially trying to match Oklahoma in a number of ways. And I think Dane, out of the trip, a lot of buzz behind the scenes about where the Sooners are with him and his family. So he was there for a multi-day trip in Norman. Everything went well. The meetings went well. The conversation and discussions from the staff to Brian Bosworth, I guess. And yeah, man, I think that there's plenty of reason, at least for optimism right now for Oklahoma. Let's see what happens coming up this weekend if he does make it to Nebraska.
Interesting name to keep an eye on there. Just a guy, he feels like a Venables type of guy, kind of that blue collar linebacker from Indiana. Has the look to him. So
if he commits, the conversation, the background profile conversation we're going to have on him is going to be incredible. This one of the more fascinating recruits, like story wise or maybe background wise, that you will find. He's definitely a Venables guy.
No doubt. So keep an eye on that one. Key name to keep an eye on. Like Collin said, he looking to maybe visit Nebraska. And like we've said earlier, you subscribe. It's a Black Friday sale. You can also keep up with what the Nebraska guys are saying over at Husker 247. Obviously, they do a great job. Another update I wanted to get real quick on a guy who was visiting in town. I can't say I saw him talking to anyone like I did with Bathurst. Bathurst stood out, but he was supposed to be there, and I presume that he was there. Is Markel Ford, the 3-star safety. He's currently committed to SMU. He's been with the Mustangs in their class since April. Committed to Rhett Lashley out there. Mesquite, Texas guy, so he's obviously just down the road, down there in is that DFW area, Mesquite, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Make sure I have my Texas geography right.
Careful.
What about Markel Ford, Collin? This is a guy that Oklahoma potentially looking to flip in 2026 away from the Mustangs. Where are things kind of sitting there with him?
Yeah, I mean, could be some things to be thankful for with this one. We'll see.
Yes.
Oklahoma's in an excellent position here with Markel Ford. I don't think it's any secret at this point that the Sooners gave Markel a lot to consider. SMU obviously still holding his pledge, but at time of recording, I think that Oklahoma is they're in prime position to potentially pull off the flip. I think that obviously conversations will be had between Markel, Mustang staff. I'm a big fan of that whole crew over there at SMU. And so how, those two parties interact with each other throughout the week will probably determine a lot. But I know Oklahoma took care of its side, and I think OU is in a really good position here. So I would keep a close eye on Markel Ford. Oklahoma's doing the same, and they nailed the visit. I think the Sooners, again, just one that they should feel they have every right to feel very optimistic about what the outcome could be with Markel Ford.
Got Nico Jandro, I mentioned earlier, his brother Bo, linebacker. Nico profiling more as a safety as the other guy that in that class. Does Ford? Do they like him as a traditional safety? Is that kind of what they have in mind?
He'll probably be closer to a traditional safety to maybe being able to play in the slot. At one point, he was seen as someone who may have to kick it inside the linebacker, but he's kind of gone a little bit of a body transformation. And so now you see him in a abbreviated senior season playing wide receiver, corner, which was not necessarily something in his repertoire. I think he's kind of expanded some athletic ability relative to the natural instincts and aggression he brings to the table. So I think he's someone that built like more of a traditional safety now with some ability to play in the box.
Maybe some potential cheetah possibilities down the road, maybe. So, interesting name to keep an eye on there. Another one that we'll continue to follow with the SMU commit, Markel Ford. And again, keep an eye out over at Sooners Illustrated. Maybe some movement there soon. We'll see, obviously, before Markel Ford over on Oklahoma.247sports.com. Now, as we shift ahead to this weekend, still a lot more to talk about in 2026. Like we said, they're really active in this class still, with sign day just a week away. The weekend ahead, big weekend, obviously, on the field. You're hosting LSU on Saturday. It's a massive game. Obviously, if you win, you feel like you're punching your ticket to the playoff, barring, I don't even know. We'll get into the rankings discussion later, but you're essentially playing for a playoff spot on Saturday with LSU coming to town. You were talking to me before we started, recording, that it's a huge list. I mean, it's a jam-packed list. It's one of those kind of big blow it out type of weekends. Thanksgiving weekend, huge game, 2:30 kick. LSU, who, while they're not maybe having the year that they wanted, it's still a helmet game. It's still LSU. It's they've never been to Norman before. I'm envisioning a very good atmosphere on Saturday afternoon. Big visitor list. We'll start in 26 as far as some names there that you wanted to get into on the show. And like, as per usual, the full visitor list will be available to our VIP members over on Students Illustrated. But on the show here, what are some names in 26? We'll do some 27 as well, but starting in 26 with some names that are going to be key this weekend.
So we'll start on the offensive line. Jonas Muya, the 6'7", 280-pound offensive tackle, just finished his first season of football. So congrats to him. Very curious to see how this one goes. This is a tall, long, athletic offensive tackle from the Midwest who has, I want to say it's Purdue, West Virginia, and Minnesota. I believe Minnesota is making a lot of noise. I think he just visited the West Virginia side of things. And this has been one that I think a lot of people have circled, because when you see a natural traits and tools guy at the offensive tackle position, relatively inexperienced, that's a Bill Beatonbow type of cat. You know what I mean? Like someone that he can mold the way that he wants to. Not a lot of bad habits, every trait you could imagine at offensive tackle, and all of a sudden Bill Beatonbow turns that guy into, a signature offensive tackle type with a bright future ahead. And that's going to kind of be the pitch to this guy this weekend, right? Hey, haven't played a lot of football, may as well work with the best offensive line coach in college football, right? Keep an eye on Jonas Muya this weekend. And then there's Noah Beebe, the Tulane commit, interior offensive lineman, 6'3.5", 290 pounds. This is a former tight end who was moved inside. He is the teammate of 5-star 2027 offensive tackle Kennedy Brown. So you like that, but you like Noah a lot because tight end background, athletic, plays a little bit of tackle at the prep level. So used to working on an island, but at the same time could probably play center and both guard spots, especially with some of the built-in athletic ability. And I think you have seen Tulane lose 4-star wide receiver Trez Davis over the last few days, a guy that I mentioned that I love. You see Noah Beebe exploring some options. I think these Tulane commits are reading the room a little bit right now, right? In that John Summerall might be deciding his future here pretty soon. And I think we can all take an educated guess as far as what that looks like. And so Jonas Muya and Noah Beebe, 2 offensive line visitors in 2026. Both, I believe, are official visitors. So, some big stuff there. And then on the defensive line, Malik Franklin. So, 6'6", 260-pound defensive end who I think could easily add some weight and kick inside, maybe play a little bit of 3-tech. Out of Alabama, this is someone that Jim Nagy, from his time spent in the state of Alabama, has kind of zeroed in on. He's expected, or has been expected, in town this weekend as well. Always notable when Oklahoma offers a defensive lineman later on in a cycle, and it makes a lot of sense to me as far as Malik Franklin and why Oklahoma would like him a lot. And so some frontliners going to be around Norman. I'm not going to name every 2026 visitor that I think might show up this weekend. That's kind of the trio that's very notable for the LSU game. And to kind of round it out, I like where Oklahoma is with all of these guys. And I
Yeah.
think OU really could kind of control its own destiny, if you will, with all three of these recruits.
With the O-line, so I take it they would take both. I mean,
I
they're
think
different
so.
guys. One you said one inside, one outside, because you have Schmidt and Best. You only have two guys in 26 on the offensive line. So it sounds like they're interested in padding that out a little bit.
I think Deacon Schmidt is someone who can kind of be a tailor-made right tackle, maybe play some left, but I like him as a right tackle to a guard. I think that Noah Best is someone who's very complimentary to Noah Abibi in that I think both of those guys can play all three interior spots. So the 1.5 scholarship stuff that I talk about, I think you have those two in place potentially. They can occupy several interior alignments. And then if Deacon Best projects as more of a right tackle, Jonas Muya at 6'7", 280 pounds and a basketball background, that feels like someone you can mold into a premier left tackle. So they would certainly take both, in my opinion, and I think they see them as ideal fits, especially with what they already have in 2026.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then on the edge part of it with Franklin, I mean, obviously the edge group, we've talked about it, loaded with Krull and then Norman and Nelson. You already have three guys there, and obviously Krull is your kind of your big dog in the class, if you will. To throw him in there, I mean that's quite a group. Have four guys in that group. Obviously, that would really pad that out a little bit in that room, which that's exciting, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, Franklin, again, at his size, at 6'6" and 260 pounds already,
that's a big dude.
He could be a jumbo end, which you want to talk about being complimentary. Jake Krull, just a bona fide stud, but 6'3" 240 to 50 pounds, like more traditional edge. Daniel Norman and Matthew Nelson are both thinner, more speed rushers. They're going to need some time to develop. Franklin is just big. Like Franklin could be a jumbo end. And like I said, too, I think he could easily kick inside to defensive tackle and give you a really intriguing, penetrating, pass rushing, large 3-tech type who I don't know, maybe Franklin has some 2-gap ability in it as well, but I think that Franklin is someone who, again, the 1.5 scholarship stuff, he could play a little bit of jumbo end, play defensive tackle. I really like him, and I think he's a really nice fit for what they want to do on the defensive line in 26.
Sure. And you only signed, I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting someone. You just signed 2 edges last year, right? It was just Nixon and Shield Knight, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm
believe so.
blanking on someone. And so, if you
Gilmore,
which one?
Was it Wyatt Gilmore in last year's class as well?
I think he was the year before.
Okay.
They all blend together. I think he was the year before. I could easily be wrong. But anyway, it's not a the position is loaded right now, but Mason Thomas is going to move on. Marvin Jones is going to move on. Taylor Wine could. He's been so good. You never would have thought in a million years you'd lose Taylor Wine for this year. And I still, if I had to guess, I'd say he's going to be back. But man, the way he's played the second half of the year, it's a conversation for him. So you're going to need guys, right? And that's a spot that, and we'll get into portal stuff obviously here in the next, several weeks, but that's a spot I imagine might be a portal need to maybe fill out with a veteran guy in there. But, getting an influx of young talent, I could see why that would be something Oklahoma would want to do. And they're doing it already with the 3 guys I mentioned, obviously. And then if you throw Franklin in there, now you really have quite a surplus of guys there. So interesting names to note. And again, full list will be over there. 2026 still very, very active. What about 2027 though? Obviously, this is a class we talked about the last couple of months. Is off to a great start. We mentioned last week, they added another cornerback with Mikhail Davis. Obviously, for you, where does this where do your eyes go in 2027 this weekend, as there's a lot of talent coming in there as well? Obviously, this class off to a fantastic start and looking to keep it rolling with a big home visit weekend.
Yeah, there are a lot of places my eyes go, to be honest with you. And it's hard to kind of narrow down exactly who all I would like to talk about. But I think you have to start with Juju Johnson. So top 70 overall recruit in 27.
Yeah.
The number 11 cornerback in the country which, by the way, if you're number 66 overall and you're number 11 at corner, goes to show you how much corner talent is in 27.
Yeah.
Juju Johnson will visit Oklahoma on November the 29th, Josh. He will then make a commitment announcement on December 1st.
Monday after. Yeah.
Moving on.
You mentioned it. We talked about it last week when they added Davis, like the cornerback. I mean, you're looking at an all-time cornerback haul in 27. I mean, we'll see how it all shakes out, but it's crazy.
And listen, I want to say it's like Oregon, Michigan, Alabama, another. I mean, he dropped the top 5, and Oklahoma was in there with some of the biggest brands. But like, he's got Oregon in there. He's got, I want to say it's Bama and Michigan, but for Oklahoma to get this guy, all of it, 2 days before his scheduled announcement.
Sure. It's big.
I mean, I think we all get it, right? And so I really do not know how Oklahoma's going to handle themselves in 27 at cornerback. We talked about it at length, and I still don't know. I don't know that they know, and I think that's a great problem to have.
It's a lot of guys, yeah.
Like, let me put it this way. The fact that you have guys like Juju Johnson not scrambling, but having a sense of urgency about themselves to go get a visit in at Oklahoma this quickly before a scheduled announcement date, like, yeah, man, they're going to have at that point, it would be 3 corners committed in 27. And I don't think that they're done by any stretch either. So we talked about that. I listed a ton of names. Elijah Harmon, elite 4-star defensive tackle, is going to visit again. I think this is his 3rd trip to Norman.
Like, usually a good sign.
A guy that I have not been able to talk about, but I am excited to. A guy that just recently moved down towards my neck of the woods, a little bit further away, but George Toya at Byron Nelson and Trophy Club.
Yeah.
Out that way. Top 100 player, top 10 defensive tackle in the country, and the younger brother of Jay Toya, the NFL defensive tackle, was with the Cowboys and all of that.
Right.
Elite player, just moved down this way, and Oklahoma has always kind of been hovering here. They get him on campus this weekend. I think that's a big deal. They've got some linebackers coming in that I am very interested in. Prince Goldsby is going to be one I'm going to be keeping an eye on. The list goes on and on for me, but I'll close it out with this. There is a chance that some very big names, some high priority targets, choose to pivot and show up in Norman again this weekend. I think that is partially intentional, and I will talk about those names on the board with our subscribers. So Black Friday sale, folks, again, $250 per month. And
try it out for a month. I'm sure you'll like it. Try it out for a month. Sign up, try it out for a month.
Do you see this? You see this? This was like $6. Okay. $250. Let's talk some football, and I'll give you the goods as far as what may be going on, because closing it out between 26 and 27. I was joking about it with you before we started recording. We say every weekend's a big visitor weekend. Every weekend's a big visitor weekend.
Sure.
Hey, man, it doesn't feel like hyperbole to say, if everything goes well and conversations go strong, they could add 5+ guys over the next few days. Does not feel like an understatement. I mean, and 5 might be me playing it conservatively, if I'm honest with you. So, come check us out. We'll talk about it all. It'll be a lot of fun. We got our VIP chat going on right now. So if you sign up, you can literally just go ask me a question immediately. This is going to be a fun weekend from a recruiting perspective as well. I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt. I mean, you talk about, we obviously the 26 stuff is exciting because it's right at the wire here, and a lot of these guys you would presume would potentially sign as quick as next week and enroll early and all that stuff. But 27, we've talked about what a start they're off to. I mean, you're looking at right now, there's a long way to go until December 2026 when, a lot of these guys would presumably sign. But you're shaping up and you're looking at the way you started it and the way you're performing, and you have this kind of weekend. If you can, capitalize on it and probably play well and win and get the playoff and all that, like you're looking at a top 5 class, right? I mean, that's more than on the table, for Oklahoma in this next cycle. So that's exciting. That's really exciting. So a lot to be excited about if you're an OU fan with the way things are kind of moving and the way they're recruiting. And can they, do you have any idea? I'm assuming no. Can they have guys, if they were to host a playoff game, can you have visitors in for that?
So I wasn't going to talk about this unless
that would be huge too.
I wasn't going to talk about this unless we cross that bridge, because I'm sure Oklahoma fans are like, why are you talking about this? The job's not finished.
Sure.
I asked one of our Penn State guys, hey, like, can you host recruits for a playoff game? Because I don't know how this goes. He told me that if you are a recruit trying to visit for a playoff game, you have to find a way to buy a ticket.
Interesting.
I don't know how that makes any sense, but
interesting.
Looking at you, NCAA and college football playoff committee.
At the end of the day, hosting a playoff game, it can't hurt your chances. We'll put it that way. So
he told me that when Penn State got that on-campus playoff game against SMU,
right,
there were recruits that bought tickets. So it ain't nothing.
Sure. No doubt. Well, it's going to be an awesome weekend. We're excited for it, both on the field and the recruiting angle of it. It's a lot going on, and be a lot to talk about coming out of it, one way or another.
I told you when we were hanging out at the Brent Venables press conference that I kept feeling like I'm forgetting something. It has literally just hit me just now.
Let's do it.
Please excuse me. I'm splitting time between states and all of that. New offer in. Quarterback 2027. We got to talk about it very quickly.
Yes.
Jamison Roberts is officially on the board for OU in 27 at the signal caller spot. This is a talented young quarterback out of Saraland, Alabama, 6'3", 190 pounds. He made it to Norman. We swapped some messages here and there after his visit. He told me that he was able to spend a lot of time with the coaching staff and the front office, even with, I guess he had some scheduling issues coming into town, but he told me he was still able to hang out with like Coos and Arbuckle, and I think he hung out with Nagy, maybe like Dawson. They end up pulling the trigger here. And I'm going to be honest, like, I like this move a lot. I really like this move a lot.
Yeah.
They had 2 quarterbacks in. Of the 2, I thought this was the one you take a shot at.
Sure.
I'm glad that Oklahoma saw it the same way, because Jamison Roberts, to me, out there in Saraland, Alabama, they need a guy in 27 that you can kind of put in the crock pot and just see what you got.
Sure.
6'3", 190 pounds. You turn on the tape, a lot to like. They pull the trigger. They officially have a focal point target at the position, the top position in the sport. Jamison Roberts is going to visit the Iron Bowl this weekend for rivalry weekend. He's a state Alabama guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Has the Auburn offer, but obviously, stuff's going to be changing over there at I got a notification, almost had a heart attack. He's going to visit there. Auburn has an offer in, but we know the stuff's changing there for the Tigers. And so Oklahoma now officially in the mix for a 27 quarterback. And I think Oklahoma should feel really good about this one too, Josh.
A lot to like, man. A lot to like. And that's the thing, we talked about it. They've got that great start in 27 offensively without the quarterback. And it's like you put the quarterback in place and you kind of take off from there. So definitely a lot to be excited about, a lot to talk about. And again, subscribe, take advantage of that Black Friday sale. 75% off right now.
This was $6. I can't get over that. Like, you can come hang out with us and a bunch of OU fans and get all the intel, or you can go buy this for $6.
2 months for less than that. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm upset.
Before we go, I did want to make sure to hit the rankings real quick from last night. Not a ton to gather here. They held at number 8 in the CFP rankings, which is good. There was some thought going in, like, could Notre Dame jump them? I'm glad they didn't. That would have been stupid, frankly, in my opinion. Notre Dame put 70 on Syracuse. whoop-de-doo. Syracuse is not good. They have 3 wins, So Oklahoma correctly stays in front of Notre Dame, which is huge when you're talking about potentially hosting a playoff game in the first round. Now, there's still some dominoes to fall. Like I said last week, I feel about the same way. If Alabama wins the SEC, it's going to get tricky because even though they beat Alabama, it feels like they're going to jump them, and that would potentially slide you down. But for Oklahoma, you're feeling really good about where you sit at this point. If you win on Saturday, you feel like you're essentially as close to a lock as you can possibly be as an at-large team to get into the field. And I will address, there's been, I don't know if you've seen this, Collin, there's been a contingent of OU fans that have brought up a doomsday scenario where, first off, it's like 5 different things that have to happen, but there is somewhat realistic in that if BYU wins the Big 12 and Alabama wins the SEC, and I think it was if Michigan wins the Big 10, could Oklahoma theoretically slide out because all these teams are jumping in? And first off, no, I don't think that. First off, that's not going to happen. It was like a bunch of things. Michigan winning the Big 10 is very far-fetched because they have to beat Ohio State. And then the tiebreakers are a little confusing, but I don't think it's even like a open and shut they would get into the championship game. I think they still need some other things to happen. So, it's probably not going to be anything to worry about. But even if this doomsday scenario did happen, I think Oklahoma would still get the nod over like a Texas Tech, even though Tech has 1 fewer loss, because they just wouldn't have that many wins, and they wouldn't have won the conference in this scenario. So wouldn't sweat it. I think if Oklahoma wins, it's basically about as close of a lock that they'll be in as possible. What will be interesting is the Ole Miss thing, because Ole Miss dropped yesterday. That was the only change in the top 10. Oregon jumped Ole Miss, and Oregon is now 6. Ole Miss is 7. There's that whole conversation of like, if they lose the Egg Bowl, does Ole Miss fall out? And then there's the whole Lane Kiffin thing. If Lane Kiffin leaves for another job, would they ding Ole Miss because they wouldn't have their coach? Not take them out of the field, but hurt them and slide them down. That would obviously help OU if they did that. So that's another little interesting wrinkle this weekend. But for Oklahoma, Collin, it's pretty shut, open and shut. I mean, if they win, they're going to be in, and they probably will host. Not for sure, but probably.
Look, just go win and you're in.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that's where you're at.
Kind of starts and stops there. I will say, though, if you're an Oklahoma fan, in a few different ways, from Ole Miss being 1 spot ahead of Oklahoma to, people forget Ole Miss is an annual opponent.
For a while, yeah.
And this isn't. I know this isn't perfect logic, but is it kind of funny for Oklahoma fans to be watching the Egg Bowl this weekend and cheering on your guy Jeff Lebby to potentially completely derail Ole Miss playoff hopes? Their head coach, who in theory you would have been facing for the next several years, like if old Leb pulls one out over Ole Miss and he finally pushes a win across the table,
he's
got a chance to seriously help his alma mater this weekend.
The Ole Miss thing is such a wild. The whole like Lane Kiffin, in the belief I believe is that he's going to make a decision and make it publicly known on Saturday. They play Friday morning, and it's like, that's crazy. Have that hanging over your big rivalry game, and it feels like last weekend the slate wasn't that jam packed, and there really wasn't that much chaos, relatively speaking. This weekend feels like we're set up, man. There are so many. Obviously, it's rivalry weekend, so you have that going for you. But I don't know if you've noticed or like really fully appreciated it, but how many teams that are in a playoff spot right now have to go on the road this weekend to face a rival? It's a ton. I mean, you have the Egg Bowl. That's in Starkville. Georgia goes to Georgia Tech. Texas A&M goes to Texas. Ohio State goes to Michigan. Alabama goes to Auburn. Oregon goes to Washington. Like, all these teams are on the road. So it's like, we're going to get a couple. There's no way there's not a couple. And if you're Oklahoma, go win and let everything, let the chaos happen around you. And then hopefully you're hosting a playoff game on December the 20th in Norman, which will be nuts. And as of right now, it would be Notre Dame. That'd be incredible. Obviously. We'll see how it shakes out, but that would be unbelievable. It'd be unreal. So we'll see. It's exciting.
I don't know, man. It's funny that like the biggest game in the history of Tennessee Vanderbilt by far, it feels like, is happening this weekend.
That's another one. Vandy's on the bubble. They got to go to Knoxville. Like, it's
it's almost a footnote because of how much
Yeah.
other stuff is going on out there. So I cannot wait for this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. We obviously still have a job to do, and so does Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes back to. It's like, oh, you may not be part of all the chaos on paper.
Hopefully not.
But
yeah.
I'll say this.
Miami goes to Pittsburgh. That's another. Like, I just listed like 10 teams that are in the playoff chase that have to go on the road this weekend. It's kind of crazy.
You can't be looking around and going, man, this is going to be chaotic, and then not look at the LSU Tigers coming in your own home field, man. It's going to be It's going to be a fun weekend.
No doubt. And we'll preview the LSU game on Friday with Tom. The three of us will set the table for that game. Real quick bonus topic on the way out here. Oklahoma State made a hire yesterday. Any thoughts there? Eric Morris from North Texas is going to take over at Oklahoma State. Now he's going to finish out the season. North Texas is in position to maybe make the playoff. We'll see how it shakes out. The way it's looking right now, barring, we'll see what happens this weekend, but it looks like it's pretty much going to be North Texas and Tulane playing in the American Championship game, and that'll basically be a playoff game, and that'll be for that 12 spot.
Crazy.
But Eric Morris goes to Stillwater. Any quick thoughts there on what you think of that hire? I think it's probably a pretty good one for OSU.
I love the hire. I think that the hiring of Eric Morris is a really good one. I think that the hiring of Eric Morris with some assurances that he's going to be able to bring his supporting cast, if you will,
quarterback,
is an elite hire.
That young quarterback, yeah.
Obviously, Eric Morris is kind of a quarterback whisperer, if you will. But, man, if Oklahoma State can bring in the likes of Drew Mestamaker at quarterback, who, like, I'll just be honest with you. You talk to some folks that I talk to in the agency space and the personnel space, we're talking M's, like word with Mestamaker.
Yeah.
And then Skylar Cassidy, their defensive coordinator, done a hell of a job at a place at UNT where I live just down the street from UNT. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched UNT play good defense until he was there, right? And then Raj Murdy, their general manager, is 24 years old. He's a rising star. I believe Wyatt Young is a wide receiver that's been killing it this year. Maybe they bring in the running back from the state of Oklahoma too, Hawkins, who's been incredible this year. Patrick Cobbs has always been someone as a running backs coach that I think has been elite at his job. And so all that to say, Oklahoma State getting Eric Morris, kind of that quarterback whisperer type at a place like OSU, great. If he brings all of his guys with him, man, like Oklahoma State's got a chance to be really, really good and very soon too.
No doubt. Speaking of young quarterbacks getting paid too, that Cal quarterback, they fired Wilcox. I'm not going to try to say the name, JKS. I will destroy the name if I try to say it. That young man is going to have some suitors. We'll put it that way as well. It's going to be kind of I don't know if it's going to be as hectic of a portal as maybe some of these other years. Feels like teams have done a better job at like being proactive and like keeping their guys a little bit more. They're getting used to it, but it's still going to be chaotic. It's the portal. And there's only one window this year. There's no post-spring window. So it's going to be the time to cash in for these guys. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, I mean, I remember people were talking about Lenore Sellers as potentially being a portal guy. Now it's like Mestamaker.
And it sounds like Shane Beamer gonna stick in Columbia, which is a little surprising. Norvell sticking in Tallahassee too. A little surprising.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick bonus topic on the way out on my end to you. Do you want to make a prediction where Lane Kiffin ends up? Because the decision is coming this week.
I know.
We are full on LeBron James mode with Lane Kiffin coming up on Saturday.
You know, I've always kind of thought that he was honestly going to just stick and stay in Oxford. I'm a little wobbly on that now. I feel like he might be going to LSU. I don't know. What do you think? I don't think Florida, though. I think it's either LSU or Ole Miss.
I mean,
what do I know? What do I know?
I think he's a better on paper fit at Florida. I think he's going to go to LSU. I do not know how the hell you do everything you have done to Ole Miss over the last 2-3 weeks and then just be like, hey guys, I'm back.
And then it's like, who does Ole Miss hire? It's going to be interesting. It sounds like Golish from South Florida, probably going to Arkansas. That's kind of the rumor mill there.
That would be a home run hire for them, man.
Yeah, I like it too. So we'll see. A lot of SEC job movement. We'll have a lot of new faces at media days next year, which is exciting. So we'll see. One last final bonus topic: Thanksgiving tomorrow. What are you going? What's on the plate? Do you have anything weird? Do you have any weird takes? Thanksgiving takes?
Not really. I play the hits, dude. Why would I mess around with one of my favorite holidays of the year?
You feel like a mac and cheese on Thanksgiving guy.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You got to.
Hell yeah.
You got to.
Let me tell you something. And it's not just like it's not like the Velveeta. We're talking baked mac
in the oven.
Give me the crust on top.
Yes.
A little bit of cheese crunch.
Yes.
Garlic mashed potatoes. A whole bunch of pepper on there. The stuffing or the dressing, whatever you want to call it. And I am a true turkey leg guy.
Interesting.
I think that I don't trust people who don't love or get an adrenaline rush of picking up a turkey leg and ripping into that sucker like you're an old school caveman. That gets me fired up.
No doubt. No, I'm in on most all of it as well. I'm not a stuffing guy. That's probably my big take. I just don't like it. I want nothing to do with it. Like, just get it away from me. But everything else, I'm pretty in. I also like I like the turkeys. You got to do turkey on Thanksgiving, but I will mess with some ham as well. And you get a little ham in there. What's wrong with that? A little extra meat in there. No complaints about that. So
I'm not going to be complaining about turkey and ham. Oh no.
Yeah.
Everyone tries to pit those two together on this great holiday. We should just be thankful for both.
Yeah, just you go for both. That's the easy.
Be really thankful when you slap them both on a roll and make a sandwich.
No doubt. It's going to be quite a day. Everyone have a good holiday. Lots of good football the next several days. It's a great sports weekend. And we'll be back with you again. Tom, Collin, and I, all three of us on Friday for the game preview. So keep an eye out for that. We'll set the table for Oklahoma and LSU on Saturday. We'll full coverage from Norman, of course. But everyone have a good Thanksgiving, recharge, get some good family time, and come back and be ready to go on Friday. We'll set the table for a massive football game on Saturday. Looking forward to it. CK, have a good holiday, man.
Safe travels to you and all of you out there, wherever you're going for Thanksgiving. Have a great one. Hopefully it's spent with loved ones near or far. And I cannot wait for Saturday. Maybe we'll see some folks out there at Owen Field too. It's going to be a great way, hopefully, to celebrate what's been a really fun season with everybody.
No doubt. That's it for now. Be back with the game preview on Friday. For Collin Kennedy, I'm Josh Callaway signing off. We'll see you next time right back here as always on Sooners Illustrated.